So Lakshmi, what's the importance of the meal plan in recovery, and why is it so necessary? Can people just do it on their own? This is in relation to restrictive and
The
bulimia,
whole continuum,
yeah.
the whole continuum. So, and binge eating disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to establish, the landscape, I'll say anorexia, bulimia, um, unspecified eating disorders, and binge eating disorder. They are all disorders. They are all behavioral responses when somebody feels anxiety. So they just look different, but underneath the landscape is the same. So in the working with the mechanics, yes, there is some difference in languaging, but we kind of think about the anxiety underlying all the same. The meal plan, I feel, is this very misunderstood part of treatment. So, of course, if I have an eating disorder, I do not want to meet with a dietitian, and I do not really want to talk about my anxieties and my shame, right? Both. So, I find that people will try to avoid meeting with a dietitian as much as they can. And that is another one, exposure therapy part, which is, just meeting with a dietitian is exposure. And then you meet with them over and over and over till I'm not afraid of the dietitian anymore.
Right.
The meal plan, the first thing I will say is it's a living, moving document. It's not I meet with the dietitian and the dietitian will tell me, yeah, you have to have 2 slices of toast and 1 egg and half an avocado and a juice. Um, and this is what you should be eating, right? We all know that, yeah, I should be doing many things, but the question is whether I'm actually going to do it. So it doesn't work. The meal plan doesn't work that way. It is helpful to have a dietitian who understands that all my feelings about food is connected to my feelings about life.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is an emotional connection to all of this.
Right.
There is an emotional connection to the number of calories. It means something. All of that means something.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of languaging around, you can talk about the kitchen table. Um, what was it like when did we ever sit down to meals? Did we have breakfast in our home? When I was small, what was the atmosphere around the table like? um, Etc., etc., all of those questions. My evolving relationship with food, right?
So the meal plan is not necessarily this fixed formula of eating certain things to refeed or to, it's not a fixed formula. It's more so a tool to explore the emotions around food as well.
It is a very concrete tool because when we think about food and feelings, the whole thing about food and calories and numbers is it's very tangible and comforting.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling part is all in the air. So while me as a therapist, I'm kind of working on the feelings are held at bay by the funny things I do with food. So we start working the meal plan, which is um, the meal plan is kind of the baseline of normalized eating. So the meal plan says, we're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 or 3 snacks, depending on, and we're just going to keep this steady. So for someone who is under eating, the meal plan invites me to eat more. For someone who's overeating, the meal plan invites me to eat less, right? And so we're bringing everyone to a basic structure of this is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now that meal plan is very dynamic because through the meal plan, we are introducing the ideas of you don't have to be afraid of these foods and the concept of delight. So delight is a terrible thing in eating disorders, right? I cannot delight in a cupcake. I really, really, really would like to eat a cookie, but I cannot allow myself to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're caught in this terrible place. And so the meal plan is the conduit where we say, yeah, this meal plan is too bare bones. We need to introduce some of these meaningful things. We want to reduce your fear about a sandwich. We want to increase your delight in, I don't know, ice cream. And we're going to figure out A challenge cannot be too big because that will freak me out. So we're going to figure out introducing these things. We're going to figure out um, what a normalized meal looks like. We can work with the interruptions I have about food all through the meal plan. So the meal plan is a very, very concrete tool. When I'm meeting with somebody, I want to know if they're seeing a dietitian and having a meal plan. Because if they're not, we can talk about feelings all day, and then you can go home and do your eating disorder, and then we're all good.
Right, because when people take it on themselves and think I can do this part for myself, they're not going to be challenging themselves, and therefore not the emotions that you need to address will not be brought up if they're not.
My anxiety is deciding the meal plan.
Yeah.
Not me. Like, I'm not in control. My anxiety is in control.
Mm-hmm.
So I may know what to do in my head, but I also have all the interruptions in my head, right? They're all knocking around together there. So my meal plan is going to be made with all my interruptions.
Right.
If I'm going to give the meal plan to you, I'm not actually giving it to you, I'm giving it to your anxiety.
Right.
Right? You're not in the picture.
Right, right, exactly. So the meal plan it's much more than the food aspect and the nutrition aspect. It's about so much more of let's uncover where the anxiety
The dietitian and therapist are on par, right?
Right.
So I'm always asking about the meal plan. If we think about the work, my work is 2/3 therapist, 1/3 I want to know what's happening with the food. And the dietitian, I would hope, would be 2/3 dietitian and 1/3 therapist. You need to know about feelings and the significance of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because some of those foods have deep meaning in the context of my family and my growing up.
Right.
And you wouldn't know if you don't ask.
Right.
Right? So we kind of have to overlap, and we're always kind of talking about food and feelings, food and feelings. Um, so, I mean, when there isn't a dietitian in the picture, I'm like, we're not dealing with the eating disorder.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I'm aware that, sometimes, even though talking about feelings is scary, talking about feelings is less scary than talking about food.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So it ties everything together.
It ties everything together.
Yeah. It's like it's this connection between the practical elements of food and the emotions underlying it all.
It is what keeps our work steady.
Right.
The meal plan is very, very symbolic, and one of my regrets or my sadnesses is I don't think the importance of the meal plan is understood in the treatment of eating disorders in the way that it should be, that it's actually a very, very practical tool.
Mm-hmm.
Where the feelings play out.
Right, and then it allows this smooth transition into what most people seek, which is intuitive eating. It's like, when can I quit my meal plan and start intuitive eating? And that's not really the point. Like the meal plan is kind of what, like I explain it to people, like it's not going to be something you step over and into the other thing. It just kind of flows into the next. Yeah.
Yeah, once my anxiety is eased and I start getting more engaged in real life and my hyper focus from my body goes away, I will slowly flow into intuitive eating, right? I will just know, I will start recognizing the feelings of hunger and fullness. I know I should eat. I actually start knowing what foods I like, and then I will, my rigidity goes down, right? So, I mean, I can kind of end with saying, the recovery from an eating disorder is actually about my movement from a rigid way of living to a flexible way of living.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can eat whatever I feel like.
Right. Good. Yeah, I think that's a good to explain it, like this connection in the middle of everything.
Yes.
I feel like is good information. And it's not just like scary, now I'm gonna have to eat all this food. It's more so a tool for other things.
Oh, it's such a tool. Oh my God. Like,
because you could just ask, like, if somebody doesn't want to talk to you, you could just ask them if they even have it, like, how's the meal plan going.
Some people who don't know emotions, I can actually get to how the week was by asking them what happened with the food.
Yeah.
How did the meal plan go this week? Oh yeah, I know, I threw up twice. I wasn't able to eat this. And I'm like, oh, it was a bad week.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there you go. There's your
Yeah.
entry into